let me go ahead and start over. I can't believe I screwed up like that. The idea basically that we were talking primarily about from chapters 1, 2, and 3. We left off on chapter 3 because we were talking primarily about the idea of one's self-presence, their self-image, and how they saw themselves. And as we talked about that, the idea was for you to go back, take a look at your pages that you put together, the pages that you put together regarding your About Me pages, and even your own social media footprints, how you saw yourself, even how you saw some of your classmates. Were you guys able to do any of that over the break?
I did. I look back at my page, and all the classmates' pages that I could find, I did go and look at those.
Okay, and what did you take from that?
Kind of the way of, well, one of the classmates I looked at, I don't believe I have actually, I didn't see her on here Sunday, but
Right.
one of them I did see. I
What did you
guess,
observe?
I'm sorry.
What did you observe?
She comes off a little timid, I guess. So her
Okay.
About Me wasn't quite, it really wasn't that detailed. It kind of gave a quick overview as far as what she planned on doing in her future and where she was from. No, not too much about her.
Okay. Lynn, what did you observe?
What I observed about me is that I have like tendency of being quiet and not asking a lot of questions, and also that I did see my other classmates about yeah, like she said the one girl that was timid then basically give us any background of what she now basically what she said she wants to do in the future. She didn't give us like any other things that she had interests in.
Mm-hmm. So the idea is that we're all working with some degree, if you will, of, I guess, timidness. But what's interesting when you begin to think about this whole notion of social media is I love the term I've just recently heard used. I think they call themselves keyboard warriors. So they basically have this mindset about themselves. They are bigger than life, um, using a computer screen, using something like Twitter or let's say their Instagram accounts now, which I'm sure everyone's using more so now than Facebook. And again, one of the things that we have to begin to conceive or talk about is the notion of what does it mean, I guess, to, if you will, to think about image building. What goes into your image, what goes into who you are and how that image makes yourself up. I think that's a very important part of the image building process. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I agree with that.
Okay. Elaborate.
Like you were talking about as far as the keyboard warriors, you know, if we're, I think I'm a talkative person overall, and I
Mm-hmm.
think I come off that way from the beginning because I'm very talkative. But you know, you may have some people who they stay on Facebook. They type a lot. They have a lot of statuses. They have a lot to say. So you think they be talkative, and then you actually meet them, and they're really quiet.
They have this thing. I'm not going to play it, but I saw this. It was a video meme, and it had on there what happens when you actually meet a keyboard warrior face to face. And in the video piece, they actually had Denzel from Training Day. So it was so funny. It's like blah blah blah, and he got his guns out. So that's what you want me to do. It's like, so I'm thinking, wow, we have to go back and think about this whole notion in regards to who you are versus, you know, who you want to be. I think that actually plays a large part, if you will, into projecting that good positive image. Why do you think I was kind of critical, or I have been critical in the past, in regards to one's, let's say, About Me page? Why would I take that so seriously? Because some people will take a look at the About Me page and they will go ahead and say, this is an Instagram assignment. I can go ahead and just put something together and call it a day. Why do you think I'm a little critical on that? Why would I be critical on
that? I guess to see more of who we are, or if we even know who we really are, not as far as social media, but just in real life in terms of our goals and our backgrounds.
that? Okay. So the book uses a term they call impression management. I'm going to go ahead and read from it. Hopefully you have your book. If you don't, shame on you. It basically says the creation of positive image, the creation of a positive image of oneself to influence the perceptions of others is referred to as impression management or self-presentation. So when you think about the notion of impression management, again, thinking about what the About Me page assignment was about, talk to me about how that actually plays into, the things you put on your About Me page, or even the things you even put out, let's say, in Twitter or any social media network. I told y'all I was going to do this, and y'all didn't think I was serious. So I'm going to do this so you guys will get the idea. I am not playing.
What chapter is impressive management?
I'm sorry. What was that?
What
chapter?
Is you said impressive management?
Mm-hmm.
What chapter?
You actually are supposed to tell me what that is.
I just logged on, so I'm sorry.
Okay, do you have your book?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me which chapter would be in.
Can I tell them or no?
No.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure y'all knew I was serious. So I'm hearing crickets now. Is that it?
No. I was trying to give somebody else a chance to answer.
No, you're on top of everything, but I'm hearing crickets now.
Can you repeat? Can you say it again?
Repeat the crickets or the question?
Not the crickets, the question.
Okay. All right. So the question was, what? We talked about the concept of impression management. Why do you think I was so critical or hypercritical, if you will? And I will even own that I was hypercritical in regards to your About Me pages. Why would I be somewhat, I guess, invested in that?
I would say you would be so invested in that because we're kind of like basically telling you who we are and give you like an impression of the type of person who we are, stuff like that. Would you say that's okay?
Try again. I'm going to have fun with y'all in this class. Try again.
All right.
Just like
Go ahead. Morgan, you can speak. Go ahead.
that's like our first impression on you. Like everyone has a first impression that lasts. So, you wanted to see us not so much in, I guess, a social media standpoint, but more so in like a professional first impression, someone that I guess in not who we are around our friends, so that we can actually be professionals and to see that first impression, what kind of mark we left in regards to who we think we are and what we plan on doing.
Survey says, good answer. All right, so that being the case, if we're looking at the whole concept of oneself and how one is able to view themselves, what about, or what can we say are good positive images versus, let's say, images that we need to work on? Because here's the thing that I've observed, and it could be because I'm just older. Well, I ain't that much older than some of you, but still I'm a little older. The idea of what is a good professional image? Talk to me about that. Go on.
I know one good professional image is I know going to like a job interview that you have on a good shirt and tie, and that you have dress pants or khakis that are pulled up to your waist, and you're not showing no underwear or anything, or you're not sagging. Basically, that to me sounds a good first impression.
Let's see. Good answer. All right, give me another one.
I would say a first good impression is, well, for example, if you're doing like a speech to like somebody, you need to have like business attire on. I would say that would be like a good first impression.
What else?
Being able to speak properly
Being
Um,
able
and
to speak
being well
properly.
groomed.
How do we define speaking properly? Because one of the things we have to consider is an idea of what is speaking properly
not
versus, let's say, improper English.
Definitely not using slang or um, emojis or things like you would use when you were texting or like shortcuts. Actually using the correct punctuations, saying the words clearly,
Okay.
things like that.
That's a very good answer. Very good answer. Survey says, let's see. Good deal. So that being the case, if you think about the whole idea of what we're trying to do, you always want to make that good first impression, as Morgan talked about, because that good first impression, you only got one time to make a good first impression. What about when you make that bad first impression? Well, better yet, let's go back. I still don't think we've really answered the other part of that question. The other part of that question, I think, for me, deals with the idea of what, when we think about that, one of the things that I said in the requirements that I mentioned for the speech is that I don't want to see any body art. Body art or piercing. Tell me why. Other than Morgan.
Um,
Yes, Olivia.
Hi.
Hi.
In the professional world, it's not professional to show piercings or body tattoos visibly because it's in in the professional world, nobody wants to see that. So, um, it would be more professional to just have it covered up or not visible on your face or anything. It's just more professional.
Okay. Someone else give me an answer. Oh.
Body art and
I can't hear you.
piercings are with people that you.
Okay, do me a favor. Since I can't hear you so well, why don't you go ahead and try to type in your answers? Go ahead and type them in, and we'll go ahead and vote on them for the correct answer, incorrect answer. How about that? You want to type your answer in? Go ahead, type it in. Yes, the whole idea, though, we have to think about the notion of what does it mean, if you will, going into a job interview. You don't want to have your pants sagging. Going into a job interview, you don't want someone to see that you have, a nose ring. You don't want someone to see that you have a tattoo on the neck. But some folks believe it's okay to have a tattoo on the neck. Some folks believe it is okay to have a nose ring. And in some cultures, nose rings are allowed, or studs. But when you think about the audience, and it goes back again to the audience, be it an interview or be it, let's say, a speech, somebody is, what in the world's going on with Gabriel? Is he okay? Be it a speech, be it, let's say, an interview, be it an interview that you're on air. You are always on message, whether you choose to accept it or not. You are always presenting yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. For example, like you notice today, today I actually wore a collared shirt. I normally don't like to wear collared shirts, but the shirt that I had on today, my graphic tee, I don't think was appropriate for class. So I had to go ahead and put this on. But even if I didn't put this on, many people have said that when I come into my classroom, and those who see me face to face will be like, wow. On some days, and I make it a rule, Monday through Thursday, or even Monday through Wednesday, I will dress very business professional or business casual. But as the time we get to the end of the week, or even by the end of the semester, I have relaxed everything. In fact, my students last semester, summer session, told me, you do not act like a typical college professor. Now, what is a typical college professor in your eyes? What does a typical college professor do? What do they look like?
Well, I know for me, it's like someone who comes in business casual, has shirt and tie on, carries a briefcase, and puts it down on the desk and starts teaching. That's, to me, what I think of a college professor.
Okay, college professor. Who
Yeah,
else?
professor.
Who else? Thank you. The invisible man. Who else? Okay, I'll give you an example. Watch this. Let's see. Be right back. No laughing. Okay, so you're lucky. I can't find my specs. But if I have on my eyeglasses, if I had on my eyeglasses, and I spoke rather proper, spoke very much like this, to the point where we are going to discuss today the concept of self-efficacy and how self-efficacy plays primarily into one's notion of identity. We will also talk about how that notion of identity is projected upon the audience and how that audience, if you will, receives that. We talk about the concept of audience reception analysis. The audience reception analysis, okay, so as I speak that way, how do I sound?
Very uptight.
Very uptight. Okay, elaborate.
It sounds like you're more trying to use big words to get your point across.
And when
And
would I do that? Let's say, when would I do something like that? Because every time, there's a time and a place for everything. Would that be appropriate, let's say, for this class meeting?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. All right, tell me why you say yes and no to that.
I would say yes to it. I say yes because I feel that not only because this is a speech class and we're trying to learn how to speak on the level as that, I feel like it's very important that we speak like that. Then I say no because we're online and we're just
Okay. Now, the other part of that would be a negative. The negative of that effect would be simply this. One, I would lose you in academic jargon in 5 seconds flat if I really wanted to do so. I could. If I were to begin to discuss the concepts of academic epistemology conjoint with the notion of critical analysis or the Frankfurt School of Critical Thought, and we link that to the notion of hegemony, which comes to us from Antonio Gramsci, and tie that also within the public sphere, a theory that we link to Jürgen Habermas. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-mm.
It does or it does not?
does not.
Tell me why. Why does it not make sense?
More so because some of the words that you use and you explaining why you don't talk that way and saying that you will lose us in 5 seconds flat, that part makes sense. But some of the words that you use, everyone may not understand.
Right. So when you think about the idea, we have to have a common language. There has to be some common bridge so that we can, one, understand. So part of that issue is the notion of jargon. We really don't want to use a whole lot of jargon because when we use a lot of jargon, we run the potential of losing the audience and alienating ourselves from people we want to talk to. One of the things that we talk about or we need to begin to understand is the concept of code switching. How many of you heard that? Have you heard of the concept of code switching?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what it is.
And I could be completely wrong, but I think it's really where I say, talk or use certain words to fit like the time and the place of where you are. Like the same way I would talk to you as my professor, I would not speak to my sister that way. I would talk to a little more professionally. With her, I'll be way more relaxed. So it's kind of just changing up the way you speak and the things that you do based on where you are at that moment.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to share a clip with you. I think you will probably get a laugh out of it. There are a few clips. We're going to try to watch them on YouTube, all right? I'm going to go ahead and do my famous screen share. And you guys will probably get an interesting laugh out of this. Don't laugh too hard. It's funny, but it'll make my point. So we're going to go to watch a vintage movie called Airplane. Some of you may remember it. Some of you may have never heard of it, but they have this very interesting sequence I think you guys will like. Yes.
I'm married.
Congratulations.
That is not Airplane. Yeah, that's not Airplane. This is Airplane.
The radio's all yours now. Keep an eye on that number 3 engine gauge over there. It's running a little hot.
Riker, before we start, I'd like to say something.
Right now, things must look pretty rough up there. If you do what I tell you to do it.
Can I get you something?
Some mofo butter lamb into the bone. Yup. Like me.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Cuddy say can't hang.
Oh, stewardess, I speak John.
Oh, good.
He said that he's in great pain and he wants to know if you can help him.
All right. Would you tell him to just relax and I'll be back as soon as I can with some medicine?
Just hang loose, blood. You're going to catch up on the rebound out of medicine.
What it is, Big Mama? My mama raised no dummies. I done a rap.
I'm so sorry, Jeff.
Say,
Something want to help. Chop, don't get that help. Job as dude don't got no brains.
Now, here's the irony. Here's the irony of that. First, what'd you think of it? What'd you think of it?
Really hear.
You couldn't hear it? Okay, I will go ahead and post a link up so you guys can see it later. But basically what's interesting is that as they were speaking quote-unquote jive, a white woman was attempting to translate this information from the flight attendant to them and vice versa. And so it boils down to the whole notion of when and when not to use, well, how to code switch. For example, I say that I speak 3 different languages. I speak the language of the academy, I speak the language of within my family, and I speak the language of my peers. And it's a very different set of dialects and colloquialisms that I'll use. For example, if I use the term hello, I'll say that in a rather general audience setting. At the same time, if I say sup, we know that means what's going on. And then if I'll basically just do a head nod to somebody or just wave my head up, then that right there too could mean another greeting. So it's about how we communicate, the types of ways in which we talk, and how we can go from one cultural location to another cultural location. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
How many of you participate in that?
Can you
Can you
repeat
say
the
it one more
question,
time?
please?
How many of you participate in some form of code switching? Or are you aware that you participate in code switching?
Yes.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, I do it every day.
Right
You do it
now,
every day.
actually.
Okay. Sometimes code switching can get you in trouble. Sometimes it can save your life. It's important that you know how and when to do that. And again, all that plays primarily in regards to how people are able to encode and decode what it is you're trying to say. Okay? So it's very interesting when you think about it. There's a stupid video that they have out right now. Have any of you seen these crazy, whacked out videos where you have these unsuspecting white people, white men, who will go and play pranks on people in the hood?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They had this one guy that went into the hood and basically said something to one guy, say, do you want to, quote, kiss my ass? And then he had a toy donkey for them to kiss. Now, of course, when he said this to some people, they may have gotten the joke. But then when he said it to another person in particular, he didn't get the joke, and suddenly it became a big problem, to the point where he got punched in the face. We all have seen that. I'm not going to show you that, but I'm sure we all are familiar with that term, or that whole thing. So we have to, again, begin to understand how we operate within language and how we may have various commonalities, various differences, and so how do we build on those commonalities so that we don't lose our audience and we don't get lost in translation? Because oftentimes that can happen. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, so I want you all to take a quick minute to talk to me about the whole notion, if you will, of culture. Culture, meaning what is culture and how culture has an impact upon language, and even how culture has an impact upon nonverbals.
Well, pretty much with culture in terms of how we interpret things, how we communicate, and our nonverbals, everyone sees things differently. Like, for example, I have two different jobs. At one job, I work at Chili's, and there I have a lot more people who I guess are weird with my culture. So we can joke around. They'll get some of my jokes. I'll get some of theirs. They know if I kind of do like some days I walk in, I kind of go, I don't really say anything. I just kind of throw my head up and keep walking, and they take that as, "Hey, Morgan, how you doing?" I also work though for Wake County ABC. When I go in there, it's completely different. And it depends on what side of town that I'm on as well. Like right now, I'm in Mooresville, but it's almost in Durham. We have a lot of kind of proper people who come in, they're not really familiar. If they were to come in and I did that to them, they wouldn't necessarily understand it. They wouldn't know if I was speaking to them or if I was ignoring them. So it just what we do in terms of our nonverbals, our body language, and things that we say. It kind of relates back to how we were brought up, who we were brought up around, and things we've gotten pretty much gotten used to.
Okay. What are some nonverbals that we would say are instant turnoffs?
Someone rolling their eyes.
Eyes are a good one. What else?
Facial expression.
Facial expression. What else?
Body language.
Body language. Anything else? Hmm? Optics. Someone said, posture. Your posture. Very good. Very good. Yes. So those things that we think about are very good indicators. What about another one? Here's one that we don't think about. Grooming. How about grooming?
Oh, yeah.
If a person doesn't have a good coif, we're going to talk about them. What about if they have bad body odor? That sends a message too.
Yeah.
Or we take a look at how they carry, let's say, some of y'all, your shoe game. Or how they wear clothes. What types of clothes you wear. That says something. I'll give you a very good example. Again, going back to the idea of when I say business casual versus business professional. When you think of someone in business professional, what is business professional for men?
Shirt and tie.
Suit and tie. Suit and tie. There's a difference. Shirt and tie versus suit and tie. There's a difference. It's very funny. I saw this. It was a meme not too long ago where they actually had. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see if I can find this because I think it's important. I'm going to see if I can pull that up. And it talked about the idea of one who is. It was so weird. I'm going to try to pull it up. Suit meme with one who knows how to wear a suit versus one going to jail.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I can find it, but I'm looking for it. But either way, it was very interesting because what they saw, or what you saw in that meme, was an individual who didn't know how to wear a suit versus one who did. And what they said was the individual who didn't know how to wear a suit, whose suit was too big or wrinkly or whatever, they were going for a court appearance versus the one who knew how to wear the suit, whose suit was clean, they were a professional. So that too could say some things. What's interesting is, and this is a very, I don't know how to put this, it's a concept that we actively engage in. It's the whole notion of we stereotype, we make value judgments off of some of the smallest things that you would not even think about. We make some very interesting value judgments. How that person sounds, what that person looks like. Does the person smell appealing? And again, it may sound like I'm saying something comical, but is their breath bad? Could you be in an elevator with this person for 15 seconds and they give you the elevator speech? You know what the elevator speech is? The elevator speech is where you make whatever pitch you have inside of a 30-second elevator ride. Okay? So yes, all those things play into your delivery and your perception versus how you're perceived. You don't want people not to take you seriously. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we get from this course is that you understand, one, presentation is key. Not just even in regards to how you present yourself, but also in the quality of the work that you present to me or anyone else. Does that make any sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Give me an example of what I mean by that. What that was, I didn't do it. But anyway, what do I mean when I talk about presentation is key?
Your presence can say a lot about you, whether it can say whether or not you really want to be somewhere or whether you're bored or tired or ready to go if you're not interested. I know for myself, my attention span is very short, so it's very easy to tell when I'm not paying attention and when I'm not interested in something.
Very good. Who else wants to add to that? Oh, yes, please. We have to know how to read the audience, and we have to be able to understand some of those subtle nonverbal cues that you will get. For example, here's an idea of a subtle cue that you probably wouldn't think about. Rolling the eyes, right? When you roll the eyes, what happens? What's the line, or what does that send to somebody? I don't care, right? Disrespect in some circles. Whereas if I'm looking like this, I'm going to try to do it like, if I'm looking something like this and I'm closing in, what does this send to you?
That you're interested in what the person is talking about?
I'm engaged. Very good. I'm engaged. Or if I do something like, what does that send?
You're not paying attention. You're thinking about other things.
I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable. If I'm doing this, I'm like reaching in for my own security because I don't feel secure. So I'll like my son, or my son will also do this. He's like, He's pissed. So yeah, that's happening. Some folks will do that. So it's important that you know how to read the signs and symbols, if you will, of nonverbals, because again, as the one making the speech, or as the one on the audience side, that could tell you if you are going to listen to what the person has to say. Even a firm handshake, or even a pound. People don't shake that much because we're becoming more germophobic. But if you do shake hands and it's a good solid grip, it says something. But if you try to grip the man's hand or the woman's hand and they come out like, sand after the grip, there's a problem. And it's happened. So you have to really think about these things because they are all important. One of the things that I saw an individual do before he made a speech to other people is he went around the room and shook everyone's hand and made that eye contact with them. Why do you think that individual did that?
I think it's a sign of respect.
It's what?
To me, that's a sign of respect, a sign of acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement, but also there is nothing, absolutely nothing that replaces the tactile connectivity. If you touch someone and you look at them in the eye, you're saying, I want us to work together. I'm looking forward to this collaboration, right? But if you show up and you're late, or you show up and you appear to be unprepared, what does that send to your audience?
You don't care.
That you aren't serious.
You're right, you're not serious. One of the things that, okay, so I'm putting my stuff out on blast. With my fraternity intake meeting, we actually had a meeting sometime I want to say either January or February. Must have been January. And we had individuals who did not show up in business professional attire. They did not show up, or if they showed up late. Those people who did not show up in business attire, who did not show up on time, who, when they were asked to present their credentials, did not make it to the next round of interviews. So it is about the business persona that you must project. Even in those things that you think are more social, no, strictly business. Because again, it goes back to the level of self, or the level of, I would say, the various presentations of ourself that we have. You have a business self, you have a social self, you have a family self. And when I'm making a business presentation, I am extremely I wouldn't say uptight, but I make sure that the voice that I use, the clothes that I wear, and how I present myself during the context of that presentation is one that is highly professional. Because not only am I representing myself, I'm representing my research, I'm representing my institution, I'm trying to talk to someone in the attempt of trying to solicit funds for a research project I'm working on. Or, very good example, in one case, I had to go to court and make a testimony as a professional witness. When you have to do those things, you must look the part. And you must be able to speak authoritatively. You must be able to know what you're talking about. Because when you do that, that also enhances your speaker credibility. You want people to believe you, that you are a valued source. When you all watch the television news, how many of you watch the TV news?
I do.
Okay, good for you. So, would you feel comfortable watching? Let's see. Would you feel comfortable watching Larry Stogner, David Crabtree, or Anderson Cooper, or whoever, if they were not accurate, if they spoke in a way that was completely unintelligible, if they split verbs, if they came there with a mohawk, if they came there with their clothes were rainbow, would you want to watch them? Would you believe them as they attempted to give you the news report of the day?
No.
Bingo. Bingo. Now we're making that connection. Same thing. As the speaker, you have to begin primarily about the audience and how you want to be performed. Even if you're not as a hold on. Now, even as you are attempting to make your point or whatever, the idea here is that, again, you want to have people believe you, because when people believe you, they're going to come back to you, right? That's what you say, yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So, as you look in this chapter further, if you haven't, I'm sure you will, I want you to look at it in some detail and think about now how you begin to apply this in your role not only as a speaker, so the thing is that you want to make sure, if you will, that you are able to build credibility, but also, and I think what I'm trying to say here, I think I got sidetracked by the other person. You want to build that presence, that image. Now, as you are moving into your next set of speeches, the next one in particular, the demonstration speech, guess what you get to do?
Demonstrate?
Yes.
And
you get to demonstrate, yes, but you also have to build your audience, and you also have to build some level of believability. credibility. Now, let me explain to you why for this demonstration speech, I say everyone must demonstrate a fitness activity. Because I know some of you are like, why can't I demonstrate how to do hair? Why can't I demonstrate how to boil water? Why can't I demonstrate how to climb a tree? Well, that's a fitness activity. The reason I say that is because, one, you need fresh air. Two, it forces you out of your comfort zone, and it actually forces you to go through something as simple as a simple step-by-step operation, such as how to dribble a basketball. But you need to break it down. And as you break it down, it's important that you're able to, one, break it down so you can relate to your audience. And remember, I am your audience and some of your classmates, but I'm mostly the audience because I'm the one giving the grade. But you also need to think about how you're still able to present it. Now, some people will say, I'm going to demonstrate a speech primarily on whatever it is, and I'm just going to show you how to shoot a basketball at the court and call it a day. No, 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 no. You will use visual aids. You will have video and or photography, and you must use the PowerPoint to get this across. As you do so, what you will then do is try to make sure that you're able to break down the steps and still keep the audience engaged. And guess what? You're also still going to have to use a big screen so that I can see it, and so that you're using the actual PowerPoint presentation as a prop and not something you read from. Anybody caught reading their presentation word for word will fail. I'm going to say that one more time. You cannot read your presentation slide by slide and pass. This is not a reading course. I can read. You can read. You would not have gotten to college if you could not read. That said, this is again about presentation. How do you present that information with so limited amount of time but still hit the highlights so that you can make sure that you maintain that audience interest and also have fun doing it too. This presentation is not designed to flunk you. That's the first thing I want to say. It's not designed to expose any hidden weaknesses. It's again something designed so you can have fun. Now, in doing that, again, something else that people don't get. I've had some people say they were going to demonstrate things like, I'm going to show you how to serve a tennis ball in their apartment. You can fail doing that. You can. I'm going to demonstrate how to shoot a basketball, but you don't have a basketball court. You can fail that way. You need to take the assignment seriously. Trust me, I've had people do things like that. Or someone say, I'm going to show you how to play tennis, and the shoes that you need to play tennis are not tennis shoes per se. I've seen it. It's happened. I need you to take the assignment seriously. Still have fun with it. Demonstrate yoga, but do it appropriately. You need to be in a place where you can do yoga. If you're going, like a yoga studio, if you're going to show me how you're going to ride a bike, good idea to have a bike that you are familiar with. Don't go out and get like a road bike and put on clips knowing you've never ridden in clips a day in your life. Fail. But I want you to take the assignment seriously. What I have already, I actually have a model of the outline that I want you to use, and what I'm going to also do is place a model of a PowerPoint presentation that I think is acceptable. Your PowerPoint presentation is going to have a series of prerequisites. Please follow those prerequisites to the letter. If you don't, you will lose points, and if you fail to follow them enough, you will get a 0. All right? Give me some questions about your assignment that you have so far. Because I know this is now I get to play President Barack Obama. Have my press conference.
So when exactly do you want us to have the audience, like, in and during the presentation, or?
Did you read the syllabus?
Yes, I read the syllabus.
Okay, so tell me, when do you need to have the audience?
It's said in the background of your presentation.
Which presentation?
The last one.
Oh, the last one.
Very
Oh.
good. Someone didn't read the syllabus.
Because I read the guidelines for the speeches, so I thought that it was for every speech.
You got to read that syllabus. If you don't read that syllabus, you can get yourself hurt. So yes, I'm glad you asked the question. Please read the syllabus. I'm not saying that to put you on WBLAST, but I am saying that, and I'm glad you raised the question. A lot of times, people, for some strange, inexplicable reason, I don't know why, they just will not read the syllabus, or they'll glance at the syllabus and not read it all the way through. So definitely, I want you to go ahead and read the syllabus. Go back and refer to it. Next.
I just have a question. In terms of the video synopsis that we've been doing, the Blackboard links, those are for us to post our YouTube links in, right? So the class can see the synopsis, or is that not right?
Run that by me one more time.
The Blackboard links, for instance, chapter 4, 5, and 6. The reason for the links on Blackboard is so that we can, once we record our synopsis and upload it, we can copy the link into the Blackboard so that all of the class has access to it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So, again, I've made a mistake. I feel stupid. Let me get this out of here. Good. So, yes, I need you to definitely go ahead and make those posts there. And as you do that, there we go. Better. So as you do that, again, post the link there. Now, this is one thing that some folks probably are a little I don't want people to be too confused with or concerned about. But I do want you to make sure that you are getting the Blackboard, getting the discussion board post done. I'm not going to be as stringent with that as opposed to, let's say, the actual speech. I want to make sure that you are, for lack of a better term, I want to make sure that you are able to get your assignments in and follow up on the reading. When you're making the actual posts, if you will, for your discussion board posts, I think it's important that you consider the idea that you're communicating with your classmates. I'm going to chime into those conversations every once in a while, say, I like this, I don't like this, or say, can you go ahead and give me some supporting information? But the idea is that your discussion board posts operate as the classroom discussion. But we're just using video as a means of making that happen. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good, good, good. All right, other questions regarding your speech that's due. I think you have your outline that's due. Outline in PowerPoint is due on the 20th. I may go ahead and push that out to maybe the 22nd or so. I'm giving some thought to that because I want to make sure that we have enough time to get everything done. This is a very fun part of the presentation, but we've got to get a fun part of the class. But I need to get you guys ready for the final speech too, and that's going to be the informative speech. Have you all had an opportunity to look at the guidelines for the demonstration speech yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure you go over those to the T. Follow those. I want to make sure that you have sources in there as you're talking about this stuff. Don't just give me something like, okay, I know how to shoot a basketball. That's nice, Now, I want you to go ahead and give me someone who says this is the right way to do it. So right now we're beginning to use sources for making your presentations. The other thing I want you to think about, too, is how you're going to get a hook. I need you to get a hook in your presentation. How are you going to hook me into wanting to see the presentation? One of the things that I want you to also think about is really stick to the time limit. I had some people on the introduction speech give me an introduction that was 7 minutes long. I love y'all, but it shouldn't take 7 minutes for you to introduce yourself to me. So as you're doing your presentation, I think it's also important that you adhere to the time limit. If you go over the time limit, I'm going to take points off. If you come under the time limit, I'm going to take points off. Okay? Is that fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Other questions or comments about this?
I'm good.
Y'all good?
Yes, sir.
Call me sir again. I'm going to come out there and make you do push-ups. Okay, everybody. Have a good night. I've enjoyed class. Did you all take anything from class tonight?
Yeah.
Y'all learn something?
Yes.
Did you have fun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, y'all have fun. I'm cool. Have a good weekend. I will check in with you guys for our next class meeting, which will be next Thursday. If I don't talk to you sooner. Again, if you could not be a part of this evening's hangout, I will again make this a part of the content section so you can download it on demand. You guys have a good week. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
She's a public guy. It's crazy what she used to like you can tell the that woman like gravity oil. And be like, I know I'm gonna get it oil here. I already got bags on my eyes, so I don't really know that color bags when I get older. But she wrote a good oil, and maybe it's a good about her. At least when you remember. The color the same person. She like me about me too. But we gotta get our first approved by our professional. We can't just write about anybody. Yeah, anybody, you gotta come to me with your first. I have to approve it. I'm like, well, hold on, let me make sure there's information on this person, because if not, I'm not doing it. That's why I'm